Recently, the MCU has been going all in with the multiverse, bringing back actors from the Fox era like Hugh Jackman in Deadpool and Wolverine, Wesley Snipes as Blade, going as far as getting Chris Evans to play the Human Torch for a few minutes, or doing something out of left field entirely like freaking Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars.
What the shit?
But I think a big reason for all these multiverse shenanigans in these movies is the notion of Avengers Secret Wars not only ending the Multiverse Saga, but serving as a gateway for essentially a soft reboot of the MCU. This has been speculated by fans for a while, with Secret Wars ending with multiple universes merging into one, which is how we get a proper interconnected Marvel universe with the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four all coexisting with one another. We know that they're working on an X-Men movie, but it's likely it won't release until after Secret Wars to serve as one of the first projects in this soft rebooted continuity. The Fantastic Four First Steps movie was confirmed by Kevin Feige to take place on a separate Earth in the multiverse outside Earth 616, and it takes place in the 1960s. Personally, I think they need to get this multiverse saga over and done with. They've kind of fumbled the bag in implementing the concept in general, and I hope Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars will be the last time Marvel utilizes it in a grand way, getting back to more grounded stories in the future. You run into an issue with trying to raise the stakes after each phase or saga, because you can't really get bigger than the multiverse. So streamlining the Marvel universe into one with all your cards in one house is a safe bet. There was this book that released last year called MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, that tells the story of Marvel Studios' success, in which the author draws from hundreds of interviews with actors, producers, directors, and writers to paint a clear picture on the current state of Marvel. The author of the book, Joanna Robinson, stated that she had a quote from Kevin Feige implying that Secret Wars would serve as a soft reboot. This would be the perfect opportunity to bring in new faces to play some of these beloved characters. On top of that, it presents the chance for any actors who want to exit the MCU. Would Samuel L. Jackson still want to play Nick Fury for another 10 years after 2027? Does Don Cheadle still want to play War Machine? Brie Larson with Captain Marvel? If any actor doesn't want to continue playing their characters due to age or just wanting to move on from the MCU, Secret Wars is the perfect time to do so. A thing I keep seeing is how people have the belief of, oh, no other actor can play this character as good as so-and-so. I don't see anyone playing Iron Man after RDJ. No other actor can replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. No one can play Steve Rogers as perfect as Chris Evans.
I'm not upset with y'all because I know you're mentally ill, which is why one day I'm going to open up a hospital for mentally ill.
I don't know about y'all, but I find this take to be pretty weird. Matter of fact, I think it's a pretty stupid opinion to have. Saying no other actor can play a fictional superhero just because of the outstanding performance of a previous actor is just incredibly disingenuous. These characters are far beyond the actors that play them, and this to me is just an example of people getting way too hung up on actors. Heroes in the Marvel or DC universe remain relevant and popular because of the numerous iterations and actors that play them over the years. Look at all the different actors that have played Spider-Man, Batman, or Superman. Could you imagine if studios didn't recast Batman for 15 years or so because Christian Bale played the character so well, or if they never recast Christopher Reeve as Superman? Now I understand those circumstances are a little different because those versions specifically were never a part of a cinematic universe, but the point still stands on keeping those characters relevant. The most prominent example of this is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, thanks to the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. We know that the next saga of the MCU after Secret Wars and the Multiverse Saga will be the Mutant Saga, confirming that the mutants and X-Men characters will be the center focus going forward. For this new iteration of the X-Men, I do not want a single Fox X-Men actor to return after Secret Wars. I need fresh new faces for all those characters. Now sure, you can have Patrick Stewart or Michael Fassbender or something come back in Secret Wars, essentially reuniting the Fox era one last time, but after that, everybody's gotta go. James McAvoy as Charles Xavier, get the hell out of here. Halle Berry as Storm, goodbye. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey,
y'all niggas can't be around here no more, dog. Skedaddle, get the fuck out of here. Get the fucking moving, dog. Get fucking daddle.
I have nothing against these actors. I think they all did well with what they were given, but the MCU X-Men needs a fresh start. I didn't get excited about the idea of Kevin Feige finally being able to use mutants just so he can rehash the same actors from the previous era. This is the opportunity to adapt a more comic accurate take on the team, get a slightly different roster or younger actors for the sake of longevity, assuming they'd be the face of the MCU for the next decade or so. The only, and I mean the only exception to this is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He's the only actor that makes sense to keep in the MCU. This is probably just a BS rumor, but there has been some speculation on the first MCU X-Men movie not having Wolverine in it because Hugh Jackman will continue playing the character even after Secret Wars.
Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
If this has any truth to it, this is the dumbest thing you can do with Wolverine. This man Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine longer than I've been alive. It's way past due to get a new actor. I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, everyone does, but the possibility of him staying in this supposed soft reboot is problematic because we need a new take on this character. Like the reasons I pointed out as to why we need a new X-Men roster, we need a new actor for Wolverine since Hugh was literally the face of the Fox era. He was their golden child. And it seemed as if Deadpool and Wolverine was sort of a love letter to the Fox films, and Avengers Secret Wars can be the culmination of that for those characters to get their swan song. You gotta let that era go, man. Start fresh and you can have all the creative freedom to do the X-Men justice. Also, Hugh Jackman is currently 55 years old. I just don't see a reality where he wants to maintain that level of body mass for another 10 years. Till you're 90 joke is funny at all, but in no timeline should that ever become a reality. There are a lot of interesting things you can do with a 616 Wolverine. Y'all remember the celestial Tiamat that's been sticking out of the middle of the ocean ever since the end of Eternals? That will be the introduction of adamantium, which will first appear in Captain America Brave New World. So you already have the seeds planted there. In a hypothetical soft rebooted timeline, maybe you can have this new Wolverine be introduced in flashbacks fighting alongside Captain America in World War II, or do the classic Hulk vs. Wolverine fight in a movie or special presentation on Disney+. Even if for some stupid reason they don't recast Wolverine in this reboot, the one character they have to recast is T'Challa as Black Panther. I understand them not wanting to recast Black Panther immediately after the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman, since it would have been so soon by the time they'd started filming Wakanda Forever, which would be an unorthodox experience for the cast and crew. So they went with the decision of killing him off. But with how Marvel's been using the multiverse, now is the perfect opportunity to recast. T'Challa is an integral part of the Marvel universe, and not using him at all would be such a disservice. A post-Secret Wars soft reboot provides the perfect way to incorporate a new actor without it being too jarring, since it's a new continuity where the X-Men and Fantastic Four now share the same history. The character meant a lot to a lot of people, and it kinda sucks to see such an integral icon not be utilized because of the death of an actor. One thing I'm noticing is the slight T'Challa erasure in other mediums ever since Chadwick Boseman's death. X-Men 97 featured cameos from several Marvel heroes like Daredevil, Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man. When they show Black Panther, for some reason it isn't T'Challa, but rather it's his father T'Chaka as the Black Panther, which makes no sense. The Black Panther game in development centers on the player crafting their own custom character to become the Black Panther of Wakanda after the death of T'Challa in the beginning of the game. What sucks even more is how much of the bloodline is dead in the current MCU. T'Chaka's brother died as a result of his actions in the 90s in Oakland, California. T'Chaka died in Civil War, which was bound to happen as his death is a driving point in T'Challa taking up the throne. Then there's Eric Killmonger at the end of the first Black Panther film. T'Challa died of an unknown illness in the beginning of Wakanda Forever. This one I really didn't think was necessary, which was the death of Queen Ramonda. Like, y'all didn't have to do her like that. One route I could see them taking is just aging up T'Challa Jr., his secret son he had with Nakia, as he and Shuri are the only ones left of the royal bloodline, just so that they can have someone of the name T'Challa be the primary Black Panther down the line.
Jose is my Haitian name. Ogubani. My name is Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa.
At the bare minimum, I think they should have a multiversal variant of T'Challa show up in the Avengers movies, since he's such an integral part of the Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars event from 2015, which is a version they'll take the most inspiration from thanks to the implementation of the multiverse and incursions. Don't try and tell me it doesn't matter if T'Challa isn't recast because it's a mantle passed down from generations. Most intriguing Black Panther stories come from T'Challa himself. You take him out of the equation, you lose 70% of the sauce. You can only do Wakanda-centric stories without T'Challa for so long. You've probably heard this take somewhere on the internet thanks to the declining quality of the MCU post-Endgame. It pretty much goes somewhere along the lines of, the MCU should have ended after Endgame. I see this a lot, and I think it's an odd way to look at things. I recognize the MCU isn't what it used to be since Phase 4 started, but did you really think Disney Marvel would stop producing content just because the arcs for Iron Man and Captain America ended? did. I get that they were the center focus of the MCU, and many longtime fans like myself grew up with RDJ's Iron Man and Chris Evans' Captain America, seeing these characters grow and go through many trials and tribulations over the years. So it would feel right to cap it off once those characters were over and done with. But that logic doesn't work because you're assuming Captain America and Iron Man are the center focus of the Marvel Universe. Why would the MCU stop when they had just acquired the rights for the Fantastic Four and X-Men around the time Avengers Endgame released in theaters? If you finish the arcs of your main players, guess what? You move on to new characters to be the center of focus and give them the same treatment you did the OG 6 Avengers. You can legally have Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and X-Men share the screen together. And to be honest, I'm not sure why Marvel didn't focus on some of those characters from the jump in Phase 4, but whatever. The Avengers weren't even the most iconic players of Marvel pre-MCU. Like the X-Men, I don't think any of the actors for the OG 6 Avengers should come back either. I understand if they don't feel like recasting those characters right away in order to give more shine to the X-Men, but if you do want to incorporate Iron Man or Captain America so they can interact with, let's say, Fantastic Four, you gotta get new actors. Would it be hard to find another actor to play Tony Stark after Robert Downey Jr.? Yeah, it would. But deciding never to recast because of RDJ is just insane to me. Again, these characters are not confined to the actors that play them. Saying no person out there can play Tony Stark other than RDJ is nonsense. If there's any Avenger that needs a new iteration, it's the Hulk. I like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, but we have gotta get a new actor for the Hulk. I'm so serious. You might be wondering why that's the case, considering he already had his arc in the Infinity Saga. Well, the issue stems from how the MCU has single-handedly ruined the Hulk as a character. They haven't done anything interesting with him since the first Avengers movie. It's insane how the Hulk in the MCU peaked in his first entry via the Incredible Hulk movie. The only reason Hulk did nothing of significance in Infinity War was because the Russo brothers had no idea what to do with him. Let me paint a clear picture on how the Hulk had been treated since Infinity War.
Hulk! Come on! Come on! What do you mean, no?
Bruce.
Damn.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Oh my God.
They also turned Thor into a bumbling idiot, unfortunately. He had the perfect blend of comedy and seriousness in Infinity War. That entrance in the Wakanda battle with Rocket and Groot was too clean. Then they completely flushed that down the toilet with Fat Thor in Endgame, and it hasn't been the same ever since. Thor Love and Thunder should be considered as a crime against humanity. Who let Taika Waititi cook in the kitchen? A major reason as to why this supposed new era of the MCU after Secret Wars is being regarded as a soft reboot rather than a full-on major reboot is because it's likely not every single character is getting recast. The purpose of this new universe would be to have all of their assets in one singular Earth, because a major concern of implementing mutants and the Fantastic Four into the MCU is a lingering question of where have they been this whole time. Instead of trying to dance around that, you can have a continuity where they all have a shared history. I'd imagine they wouldn't recast Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop or Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. Tom Holland staying as Spider-Man is a safe bet. Even if he doesn't want to play the character anymore, they're more likely to introduce Miles Morales instead. The Daredevil cast is probably sticking around, as well as many of the newer characters like Shang-Chi. It also serves as a way to get rid of any loose ends that never got tied up or characters that never popped off. The Eternals probably won't be playing a major role anytime soon, but the one thing that has been baffling to me is the situation with the Blade movie. Mahershala Ali was announced to be playing Blade all the way back at San Diego Comic-Con 2019, and every single project other than Blade that was announced at that event has been released. Blade was supposed to come out November 2023. Now it doesn't even have a concrete release date anymore. The development process has had so many different writers and directors come and go. Why is it so difficult for Marvel Studios to make a Blade movie? Just make a simple 2-hour R-rated movie about a guy who kills vampires. It's not rocket science. Shoot, at this rate, maybe there really is going to be one Blade via Wesley Snipes. I wouldn't be surprised if they put the Blade movie on hold until after the soft reboot and introduce him there. But by that point, I don't even know if Mahershala Ali would still be signed on to play the character. He is 50 years old right now. A soft reboot shouldn't just get new faces and keep everything else the same. I feel as if there needs to be a different approach taken when it comes to storytelling and allow for more creative liberties with Marvel projects. I don't mind humor or quips coming from certain characters as long as it doesn't break the tension in a scene, but the MCU has had a really big problem in the overuse of some of its jokes. It's like they're afraid of a scene being too dark or serious for the audience. I really don't want to be in a situation where I'm in the theater watching Avengers Doomsday opening night Thursday night, we see Downey's Doom wreaking havoc, then out of nowhere, Ant-Man finna pull up like, his name is Victor Von Doom? That's not a real name, LMAO.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
I also think they should take more of a comic book accurate approach with new versions of these characters, which would differentiate itself enough from the previous MCU iterations seen in the Infinity Saga. Actually delve deeper in Thor's mythology from the comics and incorporate characters like Enchantress, for example. Explore more of the dichotomy between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Display more of the Hulk's savagery and who he is as a character. Portray T'Challa as highly intelligent, capable of collaborating with brilliant minds like Tony Stark and Reed Richards. Incorporate moments where you have Tony Stark and Reed Richards interact with one another, since now they're all under the same studio. Basically what I'm saying is just do what Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes did with the Marvel cast, because that show was goated. You have the chance to adapt a true Earth 616 for Marvel. I know people get really mad at the MCU calling itself 616. Actually, and the MCU is Earth 19999. Honestly, I don't think that's something people should be whining over, and it really has never been a big deal to begin with. Getting upset that the MCU designates itself as 616 since it's not the true Marvel Comics universe is insinuating that the MCU and Marvel Comics share the same multiverse, which isn't the case at all. The MCU is not some separate Earth or reality in the Marvel Comics multiverse. It's an adaptation of Marvel Comics. For example, anytime DC has a Crisis event, whether it would be in the Arrowverse or the Crisis trilogy in the animated Tomorrowverse, the main Earth is always designated as Earth 1. Obviously, the Earth 1 in CW's The Flash is not the same Earth 1 from the comics or from the animated movies. It's just the constant name for any prime Earth for any continuity. Same thing applies to Marvel. Any main Earth is 616. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse establishes Earth 616 as the Earth Peter B. Parker is from. Again, you shouldn't treat the MCU as a part of the shared multiverse, because the logic of how the multiverse works in the comics and the movies do not match up and they contradict one another. It's an adaptation, get over it. We're all about ready for the MCU to move on from the multiverse at this point. The concept has run its course and general audiences are tired of it. Part of the reason I even stuck around after Endgame was because I wanted to see the X-Men and Fantastic Four characters, along with more Spider-Man of course. Recasting your most popular heroes is an inevitable process that allows these characters to thrive and remain relevancy over the years. If they were to recast the Avengers, just don't make the main focus group, plain and simple. If given the chance to implement the Avengers differently from the Infinity Saga, I would probably just do what Earth's Mightiest Heroes did with that roster, because it's probably the best adaptation of the Marvel Universe as a whole. All the X-Men need new faces, especially Wolverine. We don't need a 60-year-old actor playing him. Secret Wars should be our final goodbye to all the previous eras of Marvel, to focus on a new, singular shared Marvel Universe for audiences to enjoy.